relationship that ended and you thought to yourself, someone is to blame for what happened here, but I don't think that it's them? Like maybe someone else who was in the relationship was to blame? It's totally rare, right? It's way easier to get out of a relationship and think that didn't work because, they're crazy. Or that didn't work because he's scared of intimacy, or because she doesn't compost, Like, it's always easier to get out and say that it was them, and it's much rarer to leave a relationship and realize that you were probably the reason. And I had the tremendous and wretched experience of going through that a few years back, and it changed my life, but it was also really painful. And so I was really busted up about it for a while, and someone that I respected suggested a book called Addiction and Grace by a psychologist named Gerald May. And I remember thinking, did he also write a book just called Grace that I could read? But I decided to read it, and I saw some of myself in those pages, some of the ways that I wanted her to make me feel the way I wanted to feel when I wanted to feel it, Ways that it was more like addiction than love. I definitely saw that, but it was this other idea from Gerald May that really caught my attention. He said, I'll paraphrase him, but in his clinical practice, there was this one thing that people had in common who got better, whether they were trying to get over an addiction to a substance or the end of an intense relationship or the loss of someone. He said the thing that people who got better had in common was that those people didn't immediately fill the space. Because there's always this space that's left over where you used to see this person and you used to do this thing, and now there's just nothing. It feels like there's nothing, and the temptation is so strong to just get a new person in there right away, or to pour yourself into your work, or to take a really expensive shopping trip, or to eat a lot of ice cream, Pretty much something, anything to avoid feeling the main thing that's actually happening to us in that moment, which is that we're hurting. But May said it was people who could sit with that space for long enough to meet themselves and know their broken parts and sift through what things had happened to them that simply were not their fault, and what things had happened that they did have a part in. He said it was those people that over time would actually move through that and go into a new chapter of their life where they bloomed, whereas everyone else will go back to the start with a new person or a new addiction, and just keep repeating the pattern. And I remember thinking, I know that I want to be one of those people that blooms, so I have to make a choice, blame her, get someone new, probably blame her too, or to sit in one of the more uncomfortable places that I can think of, with me, which is what I chose to do. And that shifted my life. That space gave me time to meet myself in some ways for the first time, and to meet with mentors who helped me to see a lot of my patterns and helped me know where a lot of those patterns came from and to begin to choose new ones. Over time, it even gave me the opportunity to become a mentor for other people who were going through things like that. And I also don't think any other single season of my life produced so many new songs and so much creativity as that time sitting with that space. So we are going to play you a song that we wrote from that time. It's called I Didn't Put Anything Into Your Place.
Heart is a house, you're the brick that is missing.
And this is my fault, I knocked a hole in the wall.
And now it's December, there's wind on my face.
But I didn't put anything into your place. Didn't put anything into your place.
My heart is a house, you're the room that is empty.
And this is on me, I put you out on the street.
By Valentine's Day, I was a miserable case.
But I didn't put anything into your place. Didn't put anything into your place.
I don't know why I always try to fill these holes that fill my life, but I'm waiting. I hope someday they'll go away. These memories take time to fade, but they're fading.
So I am waiting. I am waiting. And I am waiting.
Some drinking coffee and some think of shopping. Some get new lovers and some get new drugs. I wrote you to say that it must have been grace. I didn't put anything into your place. Didn't put anything into your place. Didn't put anything into your place. Didn't put anything into your place.
I didn't put anything into your.
Thank you. Well, my name is Ryan David Green. His name is Cameron Hood. Ryanhood. That's just a sampling of the creativity you're going to experience with us. I'm going to let Cameron do more of the talking, and I will be over here agreeing in a musical fashion.
Here's the question. How is it that the things that we don't want to happen often make us who we do want to be? How is it that bad things can make us into good people, right? Hemingway, the world breaks everyone, and afterward many are strong at the broken places. Kanye West, the now that don't kill me can only make me stronger, right? We sort of know collectively that the hard things that we go through can make us stronger, but stronger isn't always better on its own. It has to be tempered by something else, because you can think of a lot of great heroes who were forged in suffering, but you can also think of a lot of villains who were born that same way. Out of that place of pain or abuse, you hear, I will never go through that again. I will never be weak like that. And from that place of strength, they often can go on to do terrible things to other nations or people groups or even their kids. There's this Franciscan named Richard Rohr who has said, if you don't transform your pain, you will transmit it to others. So strength has to be balanced by a kind of softness or wisdom that I think only comes from choosing to sit with the space, from choosing to sit with pain. So in our remaining time, I want to tell you one more story and we'll sing one more song that I think brings together what it means to be strong at the broken place. So, 1871, the city of Chicago catches fire. Do you know this story? Supposedly Miss O'Leary's cow kicks over a lantern, and she's drunk or she's asleep and she can't stop it and her barn burns and then Chicago burns and then it's 3 days long and they call it hell on earth. Hundreds of people die, 100,000 people lose their homes, tons of things are destroyed. And finally on the third day it rains and helps firefighters put out what we now know as the Great Chicago Fire, right? And in the aftermath, people kind of wander through the streets to see if maybe their home made it, maybe their business survived. And they start to realize the house I built is not here. The business I invested in is not here. People I loved are gone. And you don't know what to do with that kind of pain. You don't know what to do with that kind of anger. And from that place, this story started to circulate that pinned the fire on this woman named Catherine O'Leary, right? The truth is, nobody knows how the Great Chicago Fire started. There are a lot of theories, but what we do know is that the whole city was built out of wood, and it hadn't rained in weeks, and it was windy, and we also know that there were massive fires all around the edges of Lake Michigan on the exact same night. But back then, one of the ways that we handled our pain was to blame immigrants and people who were different than us, other races, you know? I realize that we've outgrown that now, but back then, it was the Irish. And so blaming Miss O'Leary just felt right, you know? It was because she was drunk. It was because they were irresponsible. It was them. And it didn't matter that newspapers later admitted that they made that story up. The blame still followed this woman, Catherine O'Leary, her whole life. And you can read how she died heartbroken, never having been able to outrun that claim. That was a way that back then we used to handle our pain. But there was another response too. People slowly started to move through the street and make sense of the rubble and clear roads, and surrounding cities who were normally economic competitors with Chicago started sending trainloads of food and water and supplies to help Chicago recover. And literally on the ashes of the first city, they built a second one. And where the first one was built out of wood, they remade it out of steel and marble and concrete. And Chicago went on to host the largest World's Fair ever to that point. And to set this, shining example of architecture and, city planning and ingenuity for the rest of the nation. And if you've ever heard Chicago called the second city, that's not second to New York in grandeur. It's second because the first one burned down, and in its place, they worked together to build a better one. To transform your pain or to transmit it. That's the choice. This song is called Second City.
When the city burned down, we rallied all around the water tower and what was left of downtown. You and I climbed with the lake behind, and through the smoke we saw where our city died. We saw burned out bridges and burned out parks, burned out kitchens and burned out hearts. We watched the flames take City Hall and watched the brand new hotel fall. So wrong, so young, so good and full of promise. So long to everything we've lost. And though downtown is falling down on the ground now, and all your hope has blown as ashes around now, brick by brick, beat by beat, your heart will survive till the second city lights begin to rise. So today we climb back way up high, where the city holds up the west half of the sky. Looking out, it left no doubt, everything that burns turns back around. So wrong, so young, so good and full of promise. So long to everything we've lost. And though downtown is falling down on the ground now, and all your hope has blown as ashes around now, brick by brick, beat by beat, your heart will survive till the second city. I have known you, baby. I have seen that you are strong. You will burst out of the blues. You will burst into a song. by brick, beat by beat, your heart will survive till the second city.